Welcome back to another retro rehab video. In today's video we're going to be replacing the lower screen and digitizer on this because it's yellow. This is a pretty easy repair, so let's get to it. First thing, you're going to want to remove the battery. Battery's out. Pull your slot cover out and you can pull your stylus out if you want. Next thing, you're going to pick these rubber stoppers out. They can kind of be a pain. Use a fingernail or get a pick under there. Just try not to damage them too much. Alright, next thing, you're going to undo this screw here. It's a Phillips screw, same as the battery door. Put that aside. Next one here is a Phillips as well. The last two Phillips for this part, there's a Phillips in both of these holes where you just remove those rubber stoppers from. And the ones in these two holes are longer than those ones, and on this one they're specifically almost like zinc coated almost. So keep those ones separate because those are a different length than the two that we pulled out of the battery bay area. Okay, now that you have these four screws removed, you're going to want to switch over to your Y bit. There's one here, and one here that you're going to remove. These three are all the same length, so you can keep these three together. And there's actually going to be one last Y screw, and that's going to be this one right in your card slot right there at the top. Sometimes these are kind of crusty and filled with the gunk, and it's a little tiny screw there. So set that one on the side because that one's different as well. Okay, now that you have all the screws out, you can pop off the back cover. It can get hung up on the power button and the volume button, so just take your time going around it. There. That came off. The shoulder button came with it. I usually try to keep the shoulder buttons together just so there's a little spring and a post on there. And it looks just like that. So I'm going to set those on the side. Alright, now you are inside. So first things first, you're going to pop off this connector here for the Wi-Fi chip. Pop the Wi-Fi BIOS chip off. Then next is going to be the microphone connector. You can either pop it off with a finger or use like a plastic spudger tool like this to pop it off. Next, you're going to want to pull this black cable underneath the battery tray. It can be a pain, so try and straighten it out as best you can before you slide it through. And if you feel a resistance or anything, don't keep pulling, but it usually comes out nice and clean like that. Fold that out of the way, fold that out of the way. Next thing, there's one more screw right here, and that is a Phillips, so you're gonna have to go back to your Phillips bit. This toolkit I am using is a very, very old iFixit kit. So iFixit, if you're watching this, love to do something with you. Been using this kit since 2012 when I had built a Mac Mini, and this is the other Phillips screw there. Okay, now look, you don't have any other screws on the board, so what you can do is, I like to kind of open this a little bit, and that way you can push up on the screen lightly to lift the board up. So now the board is lifted up, so what I'm going to do is fold it like this. Undo the ribbon cable connector there, the little locking tab. Pull the connector out, just like that. Now it's separated. First thing I'm going to do is open the little locking tab here for the ribbon cable. Now that that one's disconnected, you can flip it back over. And the whole time I'm kind of holding this here because this is actually loose. Same thing here, you're going to pop the locking connector there, Then you can slide this whole assembly out just like that. You can set this on the side. First thing though, I'm going to pull this screen border off. I try and do it without lifting the digitizer. So you want to separate the layers on that, because I am going to put this in another DS, just one that has, you know, a slightly yellowed screen, that way the color temperatures match. So I'm going to set that on the side. So I'm going to set this on the side as well for now. This is the replacement screen and digitizer. So first thing I'm going to do is reinstall this main connector here. You can generally slide it in just like that. If you need to, you can kind of use some tweezers or your spudger to lightly push the connector in to seat it all the way. Once it's in there, fold down your locking tab. Now, kind of hold it with your hand again because this is loose. We're going to reconnect the digitizer cable here. This one can be a kind of a pain, depending on the way it's kind of crinkled up. This one's fighting me because it's kind of bent in a weird angle. I'm gonna stick this in quick off camera. Okay, there we go. I got the little tab back in there for the ribbon cable. Press down the locking connector. Now that that's all set, you can set this back in here. The first thing you want to do is make sure this white mic cable is in these little slots here. Otherwise, it is not gonna let your motherboard lay flat in there. Just like that, and this one can stay folded out the way. Next, you're going to reattach this ribbon cable for the top screen. You want to be careful with these because they are delicate. I mean, they can, you know, withstand some abuse, but you don't want to strain them any more than you have to. So once you get that in, same thing, press down the locking tab, just like that. Now you can fold this back in like so. Now that that is there, you can see the way the mic cable routes out right on top of that ribbon cable there. And this one is still off to the side. So what I like to do at this point now is just to put the one Phillips screw back in this position here, just to lock it all down. You want to make sure that it's, you know, it's not bowed or anything, and there's no resistance, and nothing like sticking, holding the board up at an angle. So put your one screw back in. Now, next step, I like to put this antenna cable back through. Kind of do this a few times to straighten it out. I found the best place to route the cable through, like straightly, is right through here. You see right in between these two chips here. Right there is kind of a clear shot, and you can usually get it pretty smoothly. Look at that first try. And you want to route this cable here right where the white one is, right there. So underneath that, right where your shoulder button peg will go. So I'm going to stick down the mic connector now. These are called UFL connectors. It's kind of like a little circle and they kind of just click into place. Next, we're going to put the Wi-Fi BIOS chip back in. Same thing, it's a UFL connector. This one you kind of twist around just like that and make sure it's out the way. You want to make sure nothing's blocking any of these pegs, whether it's your pegs for your shoulder buttons or these holes here, because that's the case halves are actually going to connect there, and you don't want to pinch any of these. So now would be a good time. I'm going to just test it, make sure the screen actually turns on. So stick the battery there, kind of hold it in place, open her up, power it on. Look at that. And the color temperature looks way better. They match so much better. digitizer works. I'm gonna have to calibrate it, but for now, that is perfect. So for now, we're gonna shut that. Now you can start reassembling the rest of this. First, I'm gonna grab this shoulder here. So this little spring here will click into this tab. That's kind of what gives it its tension. So I like to push it in there, kind of hold it with my finger, rotate it, and then it's in place, just like that. And you repeat that same process from the other side, but those are loose, so you can make them fall back out if you're not careful. Same thing for the other side. I'm going to grab it just like this. Put the peg in just like that. Make sure the tab is in the center of those two little wedges. Then I like to take my little spudger tool here and just kind of not push down, but kind of just make sure they're locked in place there. The shoulder button should work fine now. Now you can grab your lower housing again. Important, you want to make sure your power switch and your volume switch are matching the positions. So here I'm going to put the volume all the way to the right, power is all the way down, and then you should be able to slide this right on. Just like that. I generally like to do this screw first here, just to kind of hold the board and the housing all together, because this screw goes through there, just like that. Next one, and these are Phillips screws. I'm gonna switch to the tri-wing quick and put those screws in. So the tri-wings, these long silver tri-wings, go here, here, and here, the same way you remove them. And then you don't want to like crank these down because you'll strip them or break the housing. Just until snug, and that's plenty. The last little tri-wing is the little black one that screw that goes over your cartridge slot. You want to be careful not to drop it down in there. So you want to bend any pins in there when you're trying to fish it out or anything like that. Now we can switch back to our Phillips. Put these last two Phillips in. Now battery can go back in, your battery door, which is also the Phillips. Next, stick back in your little hole covers here. They're usually pretty sticky still, so those should be just fine. Last part, notice how we don't have the screen border on there. You'll want to clean your screen up, and then you can actually use the frame of the housing just to line up your border. I usually start in this bottom corner just like that and follow it all the way around. You don't want to press too hard, but firm enough to make sure it re-sticks. I'm gonna clean this thing up really nice after calibrate it, but you can put your slot cover back in. Stylus, I'm about to use that. You can just skip through all this stuff to get to the screen calibration. Obviously, you can put in your nickname and the date and time and everything like that if you'd like. For this one, I'm just going through it just to get to the calibration section. It'll say yes, you have to restart. Power it back on. This is your string calibration here. So basically you just want to tap as accurately as you can. Now when you tap these, they should be like right on the money. Just like that, and hit confirm. Touch screen has been calibrated. You can quit, it'll shut down. Now, you're all set. It's that easy. I'll do another video. I'm actually replacing a digitizer. I was going to do that in this one, but I wanted to get rid of that yellow screen. That way the color temperatures would match better. But I will be putting this screen in another DS and replacing the digitizer, which is bad on this one. So that about wraps it up for this video. I will see you guys on the next one.